were able to make it here and didn't get called at the blackjack tables downstairs. So thank you for coming to this at 5:30 on Tuesday. I hope we have a lot of people that are passionate about operations in the room. I know I am. I got a couple questions for the audience before I get started. Raise your hands if you've ever been woken up in the middle of the night for an operational outage. Yeah, okay, we got a couple ops people in the room. That's good to see. And raise them one more time if that outage took more than 2 hours to resolve. Okay? And last question, I promise. Raise your hands if during that event, if you struggled to get the right people on the call to resolve the issue. Yeah, okay. So I'm Jason Bauer. I'm the director of our AWS field support organization. Over the last 15 years, I've worked with some of the world's largest enterprises, helping them build, deploy, and operate workloads on AWS. I've been in some of those 2 a.m. war rooms. I've seen the cascading impact of failures, and I've witnessed the transformation that is possible when we get operations right. I'm sure you've seen the quote from Werner before, everything fails all the time. But failure has real cost. According to a recent Splunk research article that I read, outages now cost the global 2,000 set of enterprises over $400 billion annually. And that's not just a number in a spreadsheet, 400 billion. That represents 9% of the average company's profits disappearing due to operational events. But here's what's even more concerning. Organizations are facing an average of 29 unplanned operational events a year, with each incident taking over 5 hours to resolve and costing $13.5 million on average. Let me paint a picture that I think is going to sound familiar to you. You're running a mission-critical application on AWS across multiple services, probably multiple availability zones, maybe multiple regions with complex dependencies when something goes wrong. And it will, and when it does, every minute matters. But what do? First, you spend time routing the issue to the right team. Then you spend more time trying to establish context with individuals who don't always know your environment. Then even more time escalating, trying to get subject matter experts, people who actually know the issue and can help solve the problem. Meanwhile, your customers are impacted, your revenue is bleeding, and if you're in a highly regulated environment like the airlines, healthcare, or financial services, you're potentially facing complex compliance issues and brand damage that extends well beyond the immediate event. What I hear when I talk to customers is that we need more than just reactive support. We need a partnership that understands our business, knows our architecture, and can help us prevent problems before they impact our customers. Customers are telling us that 99.9% availability, which might sound impressive at first, still means 43 minutes of monthly operation. The reality is that the traditional operations processes don't meet the needs of our most critical workloads. The traditional process looks something like this. First, it takes time to even detect the issue, that something's gone wrong. Assuming that you have good observability, alarms fire, you spin up an incident bridge, you page in your SREs, your developers, your operations teams. They spend time trying to figure out what went wrong. After rolling out the basics, you open a support case with AWS. It takes us time. We eventually jump on the call. We ask a bunch of basic questions because we don't understand the particular workload, the environment that you're running. Troubleshooting then goes down a rabbit hole of possible components that could be causing the issue until eventually someone finds that needle in a haystack that leads to the root cause. Everybody pretty much goes through these same steps, from detecting the issue, to engaging people, to investigating the problem, to trying to mitigate the issue, and finally resolving it. So how do we fix this? The traditional approach often involves teams spending a lot of time at the end of the software development lifecycle attempting to perform security, load testing, failure testing, trying to catch and prevent issues. And while these are good and necessary, what we've found over time is that they're not enough. You have to shift further left in the life cycle to design operations from the very beginning. You have to plan for not just how your applications are going to work when everything is functioning as expected, but you have to plan for how your applications will programmatically detect, engage, mitigate, and resolve issues when systems and components fail. And you can't just do this in the silo of your own team, in your own code. You have to design your operations for that complex set of dependencies across various components and vendors. And that's why we built AWS Unified Operations. It's a new approach that brings together AWS experts and AI-powered tools to prevent problems, respond to critical incidents in under 5 minutes, and continuously improve your operations. Unified Operations isn't just another support tier. It's a comprehensive partnership designed for your most critical workloads. We're talking about proactive guidance through detailed operational readiness reviews with subject matter experts from AWS, rapid incident response with round-the-clock alerting based on your alarms and your configuration, and context-aware incident management, and continuous improvement through workload refinement and proactive assessments. This represents a fundamental shift from reactive support to proactive operational excellence. Instead of waiting for problems to occur, we work with you to identify and resolve potential risks before they impact your business. Our proactive guidance and support is designed to work with your team before, during, and after incidents. And while I know our support and account teams have always helped customers design well-architected and highly resilient workloads, we also know that even the best designed applications still experience issues. And so that's why we perform workload reviews focused on various failure modes that we've learned over time at AWS that impact customers and develop application-specific runbooks. And once we built the plan, we work with your team to perform testing and game day simulations to make sure everyone responsible for the workload knows what to do. And while I know that most of us just want to go back to sleep after an event, failure often represents some of the most important learning opportunities for both businesses and individuals. At AWS, we built a culture with defined mechanisms designed to help us dive deep, learn, and implement changes that not only fix the technical problems, but help with the human problems as well. And all of this work, everything that we do up front to help you assess, prepare, creating runbooks and artifacts, flows directly into our new AI-powered tools for troubleshooting and monitoring. Our new AWS DevOps agent that Matt announced earlier and support assistants leverage the knowledge that we've gained about your workloads, the alarms, the runbooks that we built to not only provide the AI more contextual awareness to help with troubleshooting, to help your engineers with troubleshooting, but to also help our subject matter experts to speed resolution of those issues for you. And now I could talk for the next hour telling you about the technical capabilities of unified operations and operational best practices, but I think it'll be more compelling to hear from someone who's living this transformation firsthand. We're talking, the airline industry represents one of the most demanding operational environments imaginable. We're talking 24/7, 365 operations with zero tolerance for downtime, complex regulatory environments, and systems where a single failure can cascade across an entire network, affecting not only the technology, but the human processes, affecting thousands of passengers and millions in revenue. I'm excited to welcome to the stage someone who can share this journey firsthand, Ninos Gabriel, Managing Director of United Airlines.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you. I appreciate that, Jason. Jason laid out a fantastic framework in how to apply practical solutions to something that we all deal with. Let's talk a little bit about United Airlines. How many of you guys flew United into the reInvent? I'm looking at the United folks. You guys better fly United. So we don't need an introduction to talk about United Airlines. A lot of people know United Airlines, but here's some tidbit that's interesting. Next year, we will be a 100-year-old organization, right? So imagine that. We balance operation with innovation. We are not sitting on our laurels, and we're always looking for the next step to do innovation, right? We have 175 million people moving on an annual basis safely, and that's something we won't compromise on. 360 destinations around the globe, 5,000 daily flights. That's global as well. From a technology perspective, just to kind of paint the picture, we're pretty complex. We're probably not the largest. I'm sure there's other large organizations here, but 2,100 applications, 4,300 plus. I think we're hitting 4,400 microservices and APIs, and that number is going to increase as we transform into the microservices architecture and transition to the cloud. Digital channels, 5 billion hits on a daily basis. Why am I telling you all this? The reason I'm telling you all this is because we are balancing operation, which is 24/7, 365, with a heterogeneous environment that has mainframe on the back end. You have middleware stacks and layers, and we have innovation, and oh, by the way, AI in the cloud, right? And that's the level of complexity that you guys should walk away with, is if United Airlines could do that with the level of complexities that we have, then a lot of organization could be following the footsteps. So what did we do here? We focused on the architectural and operational aspect to put in a framework together to allow unified operation to work. We're going to simplify things quite a bit. And the reason we do that is because our goal is to be efficient. Our goal is to make sure, as we're going through and developing solutions and going into production, we're doing it in a way that is allowing us to shift things left. And you've heard Jason talk about shifting left. So then we talked about, all right, how do we develop this digital technology operating platform that allows us to actually look at all the different things that the developer, the engineering, the infrastructure, the security team, the DevOps teams do, and all the baton handoffs that happen in the SDLC. If you look at your own SDLC, you'll see a plethora of opportunities where you could be efficient on. And this is why we developed DTOP. And what it basically is looking at ways where we look at the manual steps within the SDLC and ask ourselves, why is it manual? Can it be automated? Can we inject AI in the middle? What's the advantage of doing that? So that's what we did. I'm not going to go through the entire slide here, but we've taken the SDLC and we've actually went a layer below. So I would recommend you do the same thing. Take your SDLC, look at all the steps, start from the business requirements, which, by the way, if you figure out how to do pristine business requirements, let's talk offline. I want to know how you did it, right? All the way to DevOps and production. Look at all the steps that happen in between, and I guarantee you, you're going to have a similar graph that we have today. We have about 27 capabilities, and these are capabilities that are unique to United. I'm happy to share them with you and talk offline about each specific one, but some of these include, does the developer develop code that is secure out of the gate? Do we have a code assist capability? How do we make sure that what we're developing and pushing into production doesn't introduce new vulnerabilities? Because you know the boomerang effect of having the engineering and infrastructure and developers go back to fix something that they've released into production is a monumental time. That's time, effort, and efficiency loss, right? So therefore, we are relying on the engineering aspect of standardization. My role, I lead the enterprise architecture practice. I am keen to make sure that when we develop solutions, they are repeatable solutions. Our data are always boundaryless. Our solutions are always going to be repeatable. And we have engineering teams, we've been very fortunate at United Airlines, capable people that allow us to build solutions that could be repeatable across the organization. And that is key in making sure that we have consistency. It's key to making sure that we have solutions like unified operation that allow us to inject in the middle, and we feel comfortable that the solutions that we are pumping out into production are done in a way that are aligned to the architecture framework. All right. So how does unified operation help United? Quite a lot, actually. But when you think about it, you got to think about what drives the efficiency goal. Why do we want to be efficient? Why could we be slower? Maybe a few minutes slower. What's the big deal? Well, we know for a fact our customers are very keen. They want to arrive on time. They want to get to the airport. They want to get to their flight. They have important places to be. And we make sure from an operational perspective on the business side and all the way to the operational aspect of the technology side, making sure that that customer arrives on time because they have an important place to be. And we know that is important because it actually shows up in the NPS scores. Customers are 3 times more likely to recommend us if we keep them on time. How does that tie into unified operation, you may ask? Quite a lot. Unified operation gives us the ability when we have an incident, and I'm saying when, because incidents will happen. We're not going to get rid of them. They are jumping on the call with us within 5 minutes or less. And these engineers from unified operation that are jumping with us, they're knowledgeable about the applications. They're knowledgeable about the stack that's behind the scene within AWS. There's quite a lot of observability exchange and channels that are open across. So now we are reducing the amount of troubleshooting and moving into resolution. We all wake up at 2 a.m. for an incident. Some of us can't go back to sleep. I really can't go back to sleep after incidents. This is me, right? But wouldn't it be nice to reduce that time? But we're not doing it for us. We're doing it for our customers. So building reliability is key to our solutions. Reliability is something that we're always going to do, innovative thing to achieve. How do we tie that into the business outcomes? Because you've got to take it all the way to the business. Let me give you this stat. We have 1,000+ automated cross-regional failovers. We do that. Now, be honest, raise your hand. How many of you guys are confident when there's an incident that you will automatically fail over by pushing a button? A couple of you guys? Look, I mean, that's normal. We're not there either. Like, I'll be honest with you. In some cases, say, can we troubleshoot more? Because we think this failover may introduce something new, right? And that is something that you all have to solve. And we've done a pretty good job at solving that at United Airlines. We're getting more comfortable in the automated failovers. And the reason we do that is because in the event of an incident, we want to failover quickly and restore the service. This is not about troubleshooting. It's about restoring the service so our customers get to where they need to be. And oh, by the way, that reduces MTTR by 7%, which we hit that. We're going to hit that more. And it's year after year after year, we're achieving better success. Again, unified operation is the foundation that's allowing us to do that. Oh, and then you have 5 points of improved NPS scores because of that. So the digital technology is critical and paramount to the security, safety, and the capability that United Airlines offers. And with that, I'll hand it over to the expert side to talk about the technical aspect of unified operation. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you. Thank you, Jason, for setting the stage on broader industry challenges with operations. And thank you, Ninas, for briefing us on United's shift left initiatives and your rigor in resilience in operations. As we've just heard, United has some interesting requirements and challenges with operations. They have a complex landscape, technological landscape. I'm excited to share with you today a journey about AWS Unified Operations, how it is specifically suited to take care of those requirements at United. What you're about to see today is not just a new support model. It's the way in which AWS approaches mission-critical operations together with our customers. I'm sure this is going to offer some interesting insights for the executives who are managing complex operations on AWS and beyond. Before rolling out unified operations across United, across their complex landscape, we wanted to demonstrate and refine this process with a specific set of critical applications. So when we picked these applications as a sample, we were deliberate about a couple of things. One was we wanted these applications to have different architecture patterns and applications that use different AWS services that are commonly used across the portfolios of United. So with that criteria in mind, we partnered with United, and we identified these 4 applications areas: reservation management system, airport operations, fleet maintenance, and weight and balance. Reservation management system, as you all know, thousands of transactions every hour, bookings, modifications, schedule changes. A 15 minutes downtime with these applications could impact hundreds of passengers. Similarly, other application areas are really critical to turn around flights and avoid delays. So with that as scope, we structured the implementation of unified operations like a carefully defined flight path. In weeks 1 and 2, we were focusing on laying the foundation, which is integrating AWS support case system with United's incident management system and their monitoring tools. I will talk a little bit more about that in the upcoming slides. And then we had several conversations with United's operations teams in understanding their operations culture, the day-to-day challenges that they have, the nuances and the best practices that they follow, so that we can absorb that and come up with a tailored approach. In weeks 3 and 4, we were focusing on the 4 applications. We dove deep into the architecture aspects of the applications. So we have designated support engineers or service experts from Unified Operations who were looking at these operations, not at the service surface level. We were diving deep and performing architectural reviews and operational readiness reviews on these applications. These reviews gave us valuable insights. We were able to identify several opportunities to improve resiliency posture, security posture, performance, and availability posture of these applications. And then in weeks 5 and 6, we went into what I call rehearsal phase, in which we brought AWS operations and United operations and application teams together and performed some simulations of real-life incidents. This phase, these simulations, we did to understand how the engagement works, how the communication works, how the orchestration and getting to the resolution of the issue works. This is to make sure that the teams on both the sides work in synchronization. And we found some interesting, learnings and some gaps that we tried to fulfill with this pilot. And then from week 7 onwards, that's when our proactive support starts. So our designated engineers, they work closely with the application teams on an ongoing basis for continuous improvement of the best practices and implementing AWS well-architected pillar best practices. At United Airlines, you must have already heard from Ninos and Jason, at United Airlines, operations excellence and resilience are not just goals, they are the foundation. A mere 15 minutes delay or latencies in a check-in application, remember, gate check-in application, right? It could impact hundreds of passengers, dozens of airports. It could easily have cascading effect. A lot of other flights that are coming into that gate, a lot of connecting flights, crew scheduling, a whole lot of things, right? So what United needed wasn't just faster response times. They needed a partner who can understand the business context of the application, who can understand the architecture of the application and the gaps, because we performed reviews on them already, and then bring that knowledge over for faster resolution. This is what AWS Unified Operations delivers. And how did we do it at United? We took an approach to integrate people, process, and tools. Let me talk about the most crucial aspect of any operational transformation, the people part. What you see here is not just an organization structure. It's about how AWS Unified Operations and AWS brings in expertise into United's operational framework into their organization structure without disrupting their core processes. On United's side, we had United Operations team, incident managers who tackle day-to-day challenges with operations, and then application teams who are responsible for development, maintenance, and stability of the applications, platform team, architecture teams, etc. And then on AWS side, we have this account team. If you're on enterprise support, you already know technical account managers, solution architects, who work with you closely, with United closely in providing strategic guidance and making sure they get the required help and expertise for their cloud journey. On top of this, AWS Unified Operations, with that, we brought two additional personas, incident management engineers and service experts. Incident management engineers are 24/7 on-call who respond to your critical issues within 5 minutes. Interestingly, they also would bring runbooks, the context, the business impact of the application that's involved, so that you get to resolution faster. And these folks also, along with United's incident managers, orchestrate the issue for getting faster escalations done and bring right people to get to the resolution sooner. And then the service domain experts. So these are engineers who are specialized in one or more AWS domains, right? They bring in years of learning by solving problems across millions of AWS customers. In addition to that, since we already have them go through the applications, they also bring business context of the critical applications. So they provide proactive guidance to the application teams. Now, these are not just theoretical suggestions. They work alongside with the application teams to prioritize and help them implement those improvements so that you prevent the issues. You prevent risks from becoming issues in production later. All right, the second pillar in this approach is integrating United's incident management and monitoring tools with AWS support. United is operating, as you all know, 24/7, 365 days. Jason and Ninos talked at stretch about it. Every minute of downtime could impact hundreds of passengers. It's very critical. This led us to design 3 additional ways in which United can engage AWS support on top of the existing process. The first one is direct critical incident creation. Through this, we integrated AWS support with United's incident management system, which is ServiceNow. So incident managers from United, when they see an issue brewing into a P1 or P2 incident, they can create AWS support case from within ServiceNow itself. They don't have to log into console. So those who are operating critical applications, you all know every minute during an issue on a critical application counts. and we are trying our best to reduce the detection and awareness phase through this. The second one, and this is an interesting and important aspect of unified operations, is rapid alert ingestion. What this means is we integrated United's monitoring tool with AWS support case system. Now, how does it work? For example, if there is a baggage scanner application or a reservation application, the transactions are erroring out or experiencing latencies for 3 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever that is. When it breaches threshold, the monitoring tool alerts. It fires an alarm. So we use that alarm to send an event to AWS support case system, and from there create AWS support case, a critical support case on behalf of United. So what we are trying to do here is we don't want a human being to look at the dashboard and alarms and decide, hey, I need to create an AWS support case and I need the AWS support. We let the machine do the work for you. So with this particular integration, and this is going to scale in the next phase of unified operations at United, the idea is to enable United to shift left further and reduce their mean time to detect and mean time to engagement metrics. And the third, another important one, is the reverse of it. Like, for example, if AWS service experiences impairment, if there's an AWS event, you already get notifications from service help desk, etc. Now, what we have done is we've enabled a notification to be directly landing into United's monitoring tool. From there, they get the ability to either engage the right application team to say that, hey, this application uses this service, and this seems to be experiencing some issues. We've got a notification. Or they can even create a P1 and P2 incident if the incident manager already knows there's an issue, and engage AWS support sooner. So in each of these channels, the idea is to get the engagement sooner and get to the resolution faster. Interestingly, regardless of the channel that you create AWS case from, we always initiate same sort of engagement protocol, which is incident management engineer joining, attending your case in 5 minutes. Okay, next, with the required people and tooling integration, we ensured AWS processes aligned seamlessly with United's operational rhythm. Our approach included 2 elements, proactive and reactive. And we've always been talking about proactive side of things. Ninos and Jason also emphasized a couple of examples. And on the proactive side, what we are doing is, as I said, we are bringing in service domain engineers who bring in knowledge about AWS services and the context of the application itself. So they review the application from an architecture standpoint, from operational standpoint, and come up with improvements, right? So when we performed these reviews on 4 of these applications, we had some interesting insights. For example, in the fleet maintenance application, we found an opportunity to enable ECS, the container applications availability zone rebalancing so that the tasks are balanced across AZs. In the case of AZ impairment, the application would still be statically stable, and you have high fault tolerance on the application. Similarly, on the database side, we found an opportunity to enable point-in-time restoration. So if there is any corrupt, malformed writes or corrupt data, you have a good known state of the database to restore from. So these are just some examples that we were able to accomplish in the last few weeks. And on the reactive side, again, like if a case is created, our incident management engineer attends your case within 5 minutes. And they also bring runbooks with them, so they know the escalation paths. They know the charade of how to communicate, how to engage on both the sides, right? With teams aligned, processes, tools connected, we were ready to use unified operations across the 4 applications. This is the approach we took. And Think of this as our clear to take off moment, a 12-week journey into enabling unified operations for these critical apps and making sure that the process works for United and fine-tune, refine some of the nuances that we found along the way. So we had some really interesting learnings, understanding, and improvements along the way, and I'd like to share some good outcomes that we got out of it. For critical case response time, we observed more than 70% improvement in mean time to engage metrics. And this metric is what feeding directly into the MTTR that Ninos was talking about. So we want to continuously engage with United and see how we can contribute to improving their MTTR metrics, which they have as a goal. And eventually it's going to feed directly into the metric, availability metric of critical applications. And then we implemented small enhancements to bridge call procedures, escalation matrix, and the communication framework so that the stakeholders and leadership on both AWS and United sides are kept aware of how the issue is progressing, how the diagnosis is moving, how far are we from resolution, et cetera. So these are some nuanced things that we improved along the way. And for those of you managing operations teams, these enhancements, very well, directly translate to business impact. So what we are trying to drive is faster awareness, faster detection, and faster response results in resolution, and it helps you drive near to zero downtime. Beyond incident management, we also had significant outcomes in proactive engagement. For the application context, that we gathered during the onboarding of these 4 applications, we enabled AWS Support's AI agent to provide tailored recommendations to support engineers. For example, if United creates a general guidance case or a performance, impairment case or something for these 4 apps, right now the agent not only provides recommendation on how to solve it to the support engineer on the AWS side, it also provides the context of the application itself, about the architecture and the learnings that we had and the improvements that we made on the application. So as we progress more into more additional capabilities in AI space, you're going to see more of this coming and more benefits to our customers. And before migration of critical application to AWS, our engineers also help them identify some opportunities in improving the architecture. For example, in one of the applications, we found the core part of the application is failing over fine, but then the dependencies were not failing over. So our engineers worked alongside with the application teams and emphasized why it's important to have dependencies also fail over so that you don't get into bimodal behavior of the application. So these are some important resilience concepts that we have been driving with the application teams, and we want to continue to do that on an ongoing basis. That's why we emphasize on continuous improvement as part of AWS Unified Operations. The focus is not only fixing problems faster, but also to prevent them from occurring in the first place. So that's why we are emphasizing on proactive and reactive all the time with unified operations. Right? So looking ahead, United's journey with unified operations is just beginning. The roadmap is to expand AWS Unified Operations across to a number of critical applications in the coming months. And it's not just about scaling. It's about force multiplying the learnings we have had during this 12-week journey and making sure that the rest of the critical applications also benefit from those processes. And through this engagement, we're also augmenting United with their shift left initiatives across applications. This means the applications will go live after operational reviews, architecture reviews, with the help of AWS engineers, the domain experts that we have. And also, with incident reactive side of things, we want to also provide a feedback loop from AWS side. If you find some interesting opportunities of improvement based on an incident, we want to feed back into the shift left initiatives that Ninos was talking about, which is DTOP. Right? So whether you're running financial applications, retail, another airline or anything, if you have critical applications on AWS, transforming operations is not just about resolving issues sooner. It's also about preventing them, identifying opportunities for improvement, and continuously improving them. There are several excellent sessions. I'm sure you must have attended a few in the last 2 days. There are a few more coming up, especially in AWS Support AI, observability, operations excellence, and resiliency. Please take advantage of these sessions. If you have mission-critical workloads on AWS, talk to your account team and start your own AWS Unified Operations journey. And thank you for your attention.